Hey, my name's Izzy, this is Rolling Virtual Cards, coming at you with another Magic the Gathering video, this time Commander ratings. What is it? How is it? Who is it? Let's get all into that. This video might be a little longer than my other ones, just so I can point back to it in the future so that people understand my rating system. Okay? We're starting off with the most popular commander of all time, Atraxa, Praetors voice. You know her, you love her, you hate her, you want to be her. Let's get into it. So, simple categories, and then I'll explain them along the way. Commander cost, color identity, protection, interaction, mana advantage, card advantage, combo, engine, and will it TTRPG. We'll get into that last one at the end. Simply put here, what we're going for is categorizing different commanders and why they're good. Okay? I don't like to give a commander a 1 out of 10. Is this good? Is this bad? Where should I play this? How should I play this? I mean, right. I do like doing some of that stuff, but this is a very specific ranking system for myself. Okay? What are you trying to look for? Is this good? Is that bad? Simply put, if they hit, I think like a 4 or 5 in 2 of these categories, it's pretty good commander. Okay, there are CDH commanders that only hit like 2 parts here, or just 1. There's CDH commanders that they suck everywhere, but they've got a 1-card combo, so they're playable. You know. So we'll go into it using Atraxa as that let go. So I'm going to go back for 1 second just to go over Atraxa for people who don't know her. Atraxa's Praetors voice is... That's my cat. 1 sec, guys. Okay, my cat's in the room now, so you might see her hop up. She likes to do that. Anyway, Atraxa's Praetors voice is a green, a white, a blue, and a black for a 4/4 legendary creature, Angel Horror, with the following effects: Flying, Vigilance, Death Touch, Lifelink. At the beginning of your end step, you proliferate, which means you choose any number of permanents and/or players, and then give each of those an additional another counter of each counter already there. So, honestly, you actually don't get to choose what counters go on them, one of each, so be careful of that sometimes. Not really. I've never really seen that been a detriment. But let's see where she ranks up, guys. Commander cost. Okay? So talking commander cost here, we're looking at how much does she cost, right? Well, she doesn't get 0 or 2, or 0 to 2 mana. That's 5 points. She's not 3 mana. That'd be 4 points. And she's not 5, 6, or higher, so she's at this 4 mana. She's gonna get 3 points. Again, this video going over a little bit more in depth, simply put. The cheaper your commander is, the better it is, in a lot of senses. You can get it out sooner. If it's removed from the field, you can put it back on the field. Your deck is usually built around your commander in some shape or form, meaning the cheaper it is, the sooner you can start doing that stuff, you know? If it has a combo or an engine, you can get those things started sooner, the cheaper the cost is. With some downsides. You can see these bonus points here. It's one of the other reasons I chose her. So she might be 4 mana, but she does cost 4 different color pips. This is going to minus her 2. This is going to bring her to only 1 point. She gets 1 point for commander cost. She's not great. 4 mana isn't great by itself, still kind of expensive, but costing 4 different pips is so much harder. You have to really find that hand to be able to get her out. So now you're fine-tuning your hand to try to get her out, which is going to require you to not run certain cards that are effective. Those simple 2-drops that top for colorless, or those 1-drops like Soul Ring. That was my alarm. Soul Ring does not help you get Atraxa out. This is a downside. Other 4-drop commanders that are like 2 and 2 colorless, Soul Ring can help you get it out. So being that as it is, it gets that -2, giving it only 1 point here. Okay? The easier it is to get your commander out, the faster you can get your commander out, the stronger it is in this category. So it fails at this category. But color identity is up next. Simplest one. You get 1 point per color. The more colors in your commander, the more cards you can play in your deck, the better your deck becomes. The super difference between a 2-color deck and a 3-color deck, just casually being able to add, instead of just 1 talisman and 1 signet, you get 3 talisman and 3 signets. That's just so much more effective, like, ramp for non-green decks, which is really strong in that case. So yeah, the more colors it gets, the better, and it passes with flying colors. This is 4 points, it's 4 colors. So yeah, not easy to get out, but there's a reason. You know, you're getting that extra color here, okay? Protection. Okay, we'll go over this. There's some contention here for how I do this. Maybe it'll change in the future, but for me, protection has 5 rings. Cheating commander tax. If you can just cheat the tax, then once it's out, you can just get it back out. This is stuff like Duretti, okay? Yeah, sure, there's downsides to it not having protection on the field, because then if you're going for a combo, that it can be removed during that combo. But the upsides, I think, weigh that out, okay? It's why I put this at 5 points. Even if it gets removed, you're just gonna put it back on the field. We're talking stuff like, I forget her name, the ninja. Commander Ninjutsu. That doesn't have commander cost as far as I remember. And that just means, cool, I don't have to worry about paying extra for this card. That kind of ability to do that, and I mean, like, even cheating commander cost in the form of, like, if this creature died, like being able to cast it from your graveyard for the same cost. But now you don't got to worry about commander cost, you can just cast it from your graveyard after putting it in your graveyard. Or, like, if it would die, putting it into your hand for free, mind you, okay? Just like you can recast it somehow without paying the commander cost, without having to do anything about it. At 4 is your Hexproof Enshroud. This is perfect. This is great. It's better than Indestructible at 3 points because you don't have, board wipes equalize the board state, whereas individual target removal just affects you and pushes you back. So having that protection of, like, no, you're not going to just single remove me. You're going to have to board wipe to, like, equalize where the board state is. That's where you're going to be getting this, like, really nice, interesting style of like, protection. Indestructible is at the 3 points. It's useful. It's helpful. It really gives you that, like, sure, you can single target removal me with, like, a path or a swords, or you can bounce me, but you got to do something about me in those regards. Like, you got to stop and think. Blink and Flicker, these are simply your commander has a way to disappear if someone targets it. Think Nezahal, right? I don't want to target you, Nezahal. You're just going to discard 3 cards, and I'm going to waste my removal spell. Very useful. But if you don't have the option to Flicker it or Blink it, you do lose it. Also, you lose any equipment, auras, or counters on it, and that's the downside there. And lastly, for that 1 point, it's just the ability to put it back in your hand. This seems like cheating commander tax, because you can just put it back in your hand, but the fact that you either have to, like, tap it to do that or pay something to get it back in your hand is a little less good. Again, you also lose all those, like, equipments or anything that you might have going for it. So yeah, that's my point system. I'm contentious myself with this, with where I put cheating commander tax, but I really do enjoy being able to just cheat the commander tax. I think it's just a really underrated form of protection. Okay, but Atraxa's got none of it, so we're gonna continue on. Interaction. Atraxa also has none of this, but again, let's go over this. Interaction. Field control. This is Sax. Having just a form that affects the entire field on your commander is going to give you 5 points here. It's more important than anything else because it's not singularly targeting. or like, I mean, it's devastating to your opponents. And your deck is either built around it or it's one-sided, like it just hurts your opponents. And that just really helps your deck. Like this really gets you to that point of like, okay, if you Grand Arbiter, this actively harms your opponents, and that's useful. Next is field removal. If you can remove stuff from the field that are problematic for you, stopping you from winning or giving your opponents too much card advantage or mana advantage, this is great. This is a fantastic thing to have your commander, and definitely something that's useful because then you don't have to worry about running as much interaction in your deck. Hand control is next. It's great, it's fantastic. Being able to make sure that your opponents have less options in their hand is very useful. Mind you, they're always going to get rid of their worst options, but that can still eventually, with enough hand control, cause them to have to get rid of good cards that they need. Second to last, for just 2 points, graveyard control. This is only going to hit like a third of the decks you play, maybe only 25% of the decks you play against, but being able to hit those graveyards is useful at times. So like, it's kind of like a bonus. Like, yeah, you're not great at interaction, but at least you got something. And last, mill. Mill as an interaction and not as a win con. Mill as an interaction is like, hey, you tutored a card up top to your deck. I'm going to put it in the graveyard. That's the fun part of mill interaction. The other part of mill interaction is that concept of, hey, I'm getting rid of like your library, so you don't have access to those cards anymore. And unless you're a graveyard deck, this is going to hinder you. You're going to be like, I can't get those cards back. I don't really have a lot of recursion, so I'm going to lose these cards, not be able to play them, and that's going to hinder me. So then, again, Atraxa doesn't have this, right? Okay, so if Atraxa, like, does Atraxa have anything, right? Like going through this, is there something that Atraxa has? Its commander cost wasn't great. It's got color identity, but so far protection and interaction, nothing. What about mana advantage? No, she doesn't. Okay, that's not great. But remind you, you only got to hit 2 of these out of the ballpark to be a good commander, 3 to be a great, okay? So, mana advantage. Does it give you access to additional lands? Why are lands the best part? Because no one interacts with lands. Zero base, like 1 to 5. It's not worth it in CEDH. It's not going to be played anywhere lower because of the rule of just don't touch people's lands massively. So it's just a permanent way to buff you, to give you mana. Treasure is 4. Treasure is 4 because it gives you that kind of like sense of relief of, yeah, I produce treasures. I have that mana to use. It's not permanent, but it is going to give me something to use to be able to get my commander back out or cast stuff earlier. For every treasure you have, you're 1 turn ahead, and that's going to give you that win, okay? Cheat mana. Cheat mana is that concept of like, yeah, my commander allows me to just put a creature from my deck, from my hand onto the field. Or it reduces everything by like 2 mana. This type of like reduction is really good. I like treasures more because even if the commander goes away, the treasures stay. Okay? And cheating mana usually has some type of like restriction. Treasure can be used on anything. Cheating mana is like, okay, like you can put a creature on your hand, from your hand onto the field. But it comes in tapped. Okay, cool. That's good. I can put a big creature out in the field, but you're like, okay, but what? I gotta tap my commander? Well, I can't do that right now. Like, there's a lot of restrictions here, and I just think treasures are a little bit more freeform there. Next is tap for mana. That's 2 points. It's simple. If your commander can tap to produce some mana, that's not bad. They don't usually produce too much. And if they do, it's expensive. Like, the cost analysis of, like, this is how much the commander costs, this is what it produces, is not always great. They don't have Soul Ring on a stick as a commander, so I think it's worth 2 points. And any other form of mana advantage that's just like not one of these 4, you can give it 1 point, right? Like, yeah, I produce 1 mana whenever you cast sorcery. Okay, cool. Like, that's not great. It's not bad. It's like, that's aight. It gives you something. But yeah, Atraxa doesn't have any of this. Okay. You're getting worried here. Card advantage, though. Okay. No. Still nothing. Still nothing here. Okay, card advantage. Draw whenever. A or N. This is 5 points. This is the pinnacle of card advantage. Okay, now mind you, when I say draw, it also includes like put in hand from library, right? The concept of just being able to go, hey, whenever I cast a spell at this creature, I draw a card. Well, you're just going to put a bunch of target creature spells in your deck and draw cards constantly. Or whenever you cast an artifact to draw a card. Or whenever an opponent does something, draw a card. Or whenever this happens to an opponent, draw a card. You can just get so much card advantage, especially when it's multiple people, because there's 4 people playing. After that is other draw. Other draw that doesn't say like whenever this thing happens. It's not bad, like pay 4 to draw a card. That's good, but it's like you have to keep paying mana, whereas like 5 is like you're playing the game of Magic and you just happen to also draw a card for doing so. Your deck is functioning the way it's built to do, and guess what? You happen to be drawing a card because you can do so. Next is play top card of your library. Play top card. This is just the simple, like, you can just play the top card of your library. It's very useful, it's helpful, it gives you those, like, it is like 1 extra card on top of your deck, like in your hand. I've got the 5 cards in my hand plus the card on top of my library. And then if I play with the top card of my library, I have another card. So, useful. I think it's better than Scry and Surveil because you don't actually get to play cards with Scry and Surveil, but this is card advantage. It's like half card advantage, right? It's that concept like, I don't need that, but your commander having it is useful. You can use that to really to really find and dig, either by dropping it at the bottom or putting it in your graveyard. Self-mill is 1 point. Like, if you're doing self-mill, your deck is built around that, so technically it's card advantage because, like, you know you're going to be able to touch that stuff. So that's the point. Bonus points. Again, -1 if any of this helps your opponents. No hugging. Hugging is not good. It's bad. Naturally. Even if you hurt them for doing it, it's still not a good thing to do. Period. Atraxa doesn't have any of this. But now we get to where Atraxa does come in, and that's combo. Combo. 1 card, 5 points. 2 card, 4 points. 3 and plus, you're getting 1 point. I'm not going to bother with saying, like, anything more is worth it, okay? Like, it's not, okay? If you're like, yeah, my commander combos with these 4 other cards. Okay, how many times have you pulled it off? Twice? Oh, you haven't? Cool, then it's not a combo. I mean, it is, but... Simply put, a combo... It's a 1 card combo means your commander plus another card, because you always have access to your commander. 2 card means your commander plus 2 cards, and so on and so forth. Atraxa gets 4 points here. Atraxa has 3 combos that require only 2 cards for infinite turns. That's fantastic. That really pushes you to that, like, next level of, like, cool, I have a way to win. I have a 3-card combo or 2-card combo plus my commander to win the game. I have a way to close it. Infinite turns with Atraxa means I can just punch face infinitely and win the game. She's got flying, okay? I'll gain infinite life, I'll beat the crap out of them, draw infinite cards, and just win the game, okay? And that's great. That's a way to end the game. You got to find these 2 cards, okay? Now, if you're against combos, if you're like, nah, combos aren't for me, that's fair. That's where engines come in. And I actually use Atraxa as an example because this is why Atraxa is good. It gets 5 points in engine because it's got a 1-card engine with Azuri, Stalker of Spheres. Azuri, whenever you proliferate, you draw a card. Atraxa, you proliferate every single turn. This is great because just these 2 cards on the field draw you a card every single turn. That's not to include the fact that you can build on this type of thing, right? Whenever you proliferate. Well, you're in an Atraxa deck. You're probably proliferating with other cards. So Azuri's going to do that. You're going to be like, oh, cool, I can do this, and then proliferate here, and oh, this one doubles the proliferate. So then, since I proliferate and then proliferate, that's going to cause Azuri to trigger again. You can build on it to turn it into multi-step, but it is just a 2-card combo. Atraxa has a lot of these 2-card combos. Well, 2-card engines, and that's what makes a casual deck good. Looking into this, I was really concerned about why are some of these really high up commanders just not great? Like, she costs terribly, because you need 4 different pips. Sure, she's got the colors. That's useful, right? That was one of the big purposes of these 4-color commanders, is to give you that 4-color identity. She doesn't have any form of protection, so she can be removed just by any removal spell. Interaction, she doesn't do anything. She doesn't target your opponents and stuff. The most you could probably say is that if you give them death, if you give them a poison counter, you can up that, but that's not affecting them. That's a win con. Mana advantage, she doesn't produce mana. Good commanders help you with that. Card advantage, great commanders give you a bunch of cards, right? But Atraxa wasn't doing that, but it's the most popular commander. Combo. Well, okay, it has a 2-card combo, but are people doing that? Is that why people are like sitting here going, yeah, Atraxa is the best because I can go infinite turns with her with these 2 obscure cards? No, the numbers aren't there for how many decks run the combos. And that's when it hit me. Casual decks are better when you have an engine to run. When your commander just functions with another card to just go, hey, cool, now you're drawing cards. Oh, hey, cool, now you're adding counters to this thing and you can remove the counters to destroy something. So you've got this engine going where, like, you're doing that. There's another card that in Atraxa that works with this, which is your, I forget the name of it, but it's you pay 2 to remove, I think you pay 1 in a green, remove a counter from it, and you can search your library for a basic land and put it on the field. And it only comes in with 2 counters, but Atraxa adds a counter every time. So you never run out, and every single turn you can tutor for a land for 2 mana. Yeah, you have a great ramp engine all of a sudden. The best ramp engine. Atraxa doesn't have that attached to her, but she has an engine that does that, right? So no, Atraxa doesn't have protection, but she might have an engine where, oh yeah, you just have to remove 2 counters from this thing and then give something indestructible. That's cool. You just need 1 other card to replace Atraxa's downside. Interactions the same way. There are cards where you just remove a counter from it, pay 2, remove a counter, pop something. Well, Atraxa is going to keep giving it the counters to use that. Mana advantage, we already talked about that. Card advantage, you're staring right at it. So although Atraxa doesn't do a lot by itself, the engine, its engines allows it to do the stuff it's missing. So overall, the reason why Atraxa is such a good commander is because it has a 5 in engine. It has a lot of 1-card engines that just work. And if not 1, it's got 2-card engines, where like you have these 2 cards out and it just builds upon itself, guys. And that's why Atraxa is so good. It's why people run her even though it's hard to get her out sometimes. And you can't always protect her by herself. You're not looking for a hand to just get Atraxa out. You're looking for a hand that gets Atraxa out with another card. Which card? 1 and half the deck that probably just one-offs with it. But now we get to the important question. Will it TTRPG? Well, will it? Let's talk about using Atraxa as a character in whatever tabletop RPG you're playing, okay? The story. Atraxa is an angel horror, okay? A Phyrexian angel horror, okay? It kills you upon touching. It's always vigilant, it's flying in the air, and it heals itself from damaging you, right? This thing is a dangerous creature to fight, okay? It's not the strongest, it's only a 4/4. So you could say 14 defense or AC and like a +4 to hit, right? And like +4 damage. You could do something like that. The statistics or the numbers are there to align. And the only thing it's missing is red. Now it's missing red because like Brass didn't want anything to do with it, so they didn't make the perfect being, they made the almost perfect being. But red really made it lose its passion. It doesn't really have passion. And mind you, this is an angel from a different plane that was pulled out of it and turned into this monster by 4 Praetors, okay? And you could do this so well. An angel horror Phyrexian. If you remove the Phyrexian, or just say that that comes with like this liquid ooze, like this silver liquid goop that is infectious, you can really do this interesting idea of like, if she hits you, you're poisoned. And within a few turns, you will turn into a Phyrexian and work with her deity, right? Which is such a great, interesting thing. Like, you can't just go after this thing. You have to be careful. Because if she hits you, you're going to die without an antidote or some way to stop it, okay? Next, it was an angel, and it was turned. So this fallen angel arc of, like, this creature that used to protect a town, but now it no longer protects a town, is a fantastic little, like, story you can give it, right? It was the savior, something happened, and now it's terrorizing the town. Great little story to hook people into going after it, right? The fight is interesting. You really have to find a way to hit it without letting it touch you. Mind you, it needs to touch you itself. The spear won't do so. So, I love the fact that she has a spear in her art. She'll use that to attack you, and if she thinks she has an opening, she'll go for a touch with, like, her other hand, and if she scratches you, and it deals damage, then you're infected, okay? That's your infection attack, right? And if she hits you with that, she also heals herself, which is great. I love that concept of, like, she'll infect you and heal herself at the same time. What class would she be? Probably a fallen cleric. I like that concept, this interesting fallen cleric or fallen paladin. Both work pretty well for her type of look of this horrifying creature. This, like, yeah, primordial being that has existed helping this town forever, and then all of a sudden is no longer helping them. So I think that's great. I think it leads into a lot of cool stories. So that's the simple TTRPG. I think it will. But overall, that's the Commander. That's my thoughts on it. Go ahead and leave down your thoughts about the most popular Commander according to EDH Rec. Peace.